Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Mostly Low Budget Movie Reviews. I am your host, Clarence. Thank you for tuning in. It's that time of year again, that time where they start showing all those holiday rom-coms. And as my veterans know, I watch just about anything, but comedies are not something I really look forward to. And someone challenged me last year to watch a few, and I think I ended up watching like two. So this year, I'm going to challenge myself and try to double that number. At least watch four. You guys keep me honest. Let me know if I watch them or not. But in today's episode, I have a movie that was trending on Netflix called A Merry Little Xmas. It's starring Alicia Silverstone, who's been like popping up a lot recently in these like small roles. Begonia, I believe she was in that. Very good movie. Definitely check that one out. This is her first leading one, if I can remember correctly, that I've seen her in anyway. I think I've seen Melissa Joan Hart is in this as well, which I haven't seen her in forever, so whatever she's got going on. And I used to have such a crush on Alicia, so seeing her in a romantic lead is a bit nostalgic for me, so I'm really hoping for the best. So what is this one about? Kate moved to a small town with her husband, Everett, who opened a medical practice. Now, this forced her to quit her job and abandon her career. Her husband is a bit of a workaholic, and he even works on Christmas Eve. As time went on, they grew further and further apart and decided it would be best if they divorced. Now, this isn't something filled with acrimony or, it's not a nasty situation. They're actually still friends. They're very civil. They agreed on everything. So everyone was on good terms and still communicating. And once the divorce is final, she's going to sell the house and move back to Boston and, get on with her career. She wants one last family Christmas gathering, and she's sitting down, to dinner with her kids, and they tell her their father is dating, which took her completely by surprise since, they communicate still on a regular basis, and he never mentioned it. And you know what? That's actually where I'm going to stop, because from there, she meets her, and of course, she's super hot and has a successful career, so she's feeling less than, and she's approached by a young man, and she decides to bring him along to these family functions, and, the hijinks ensue. So how is this going to play out? Like, you don't know already, but anyway, what did the pros think? Now, they came in at a 46% on 13 reviews, with the audience at 38% on over 50 ratings on the Rotten scale. But what did I think? Well, let me start with the positives. Now, this wasn't the traditional setup, so that made me a little more interested. Usually there's some sort of, animosity or disagreement, then they have that big thing and they make up at the end. This one, whatever the breakdown in the marriage was, which was pretty basic on the surface, it already happened, and we pick up with them, deciding on a divorce, signing the papers and all of that. And, they've already been separated. So they got along just fine. I mean, and that's actually an understatement. You can clearly see they still love each other, and neither one of them really want to be divorced. All they really needed to do was to have a real conversation, which this was the catalyst to do that, I guess. And this isn't much of a spoiler since all of these end the same way. They kind of realized that, and it all worked out at the end. I'm glad they didn't fake some big issues so they could fit the formula. But that's really the only positive I have. I mean, and their positive is one of the major problems with the movie. It's all very low stakes. There's no chance that they're not going to get together. There's no drama. Like I said, they just needed a little push to finish making up. It was already going to happen. So with no conflict, they have to lean heavy on the other elements. The comedy is very light and basic, some slapstick one-liner stuff, nothing too edgy, just your regular, boring, unfunny, cliche romantic comedy jokes. This movie has some of the worst chemistry that I have seen in a very long time. And I've watched quite a few romantic comedies. Like I said, it's not my favorite genre, but I still watch them. And chemistry is super important with the leads. And she had zero chemistry with the husband, whoever played that role, and the young guy she was supposed to be dating. They had zero chemistry. And it actually seems like they were miscast. But in fact, everyone seemed to be miscast with the exception of the kids. No one looked all that comfortable in their roles. It looked like they just read what was on the page and said, okay, I'm just going to play it like this. No one brought their own personal thing to the role. You could tell it was just basic the way they interpreted whoever did this script. So with no conflict, poor comedy, zero romance, there's really no reason to watch this. It's literally 90 minutes of nothing going on. How the pros even got to 46% is beyond me. They must have just gave it a pass because, again, it's lighthearted enough and it's not, salacious or anything like that. If you just want to watch a pretty basic comedy and your kids are in the room and you're all like wrapping presents or doing whatever, you can play this in the background. Your kids won't even know, it's not anything offensive, but really, they didn't even try with this one. This is really not good. I put this right at 25% on the rotten scale to stay consistent. Yeah, you know what I realized watching this one, though? Again, I mean, I've realized this before, but this one really drove it home. They just don't respect romantic comedy fans. They don't respect you guys. I mean, if this is going to pass off and get greenlit for people to watch, and like I said, this was trending on Netflix for a little bit. It was #1 and stayed in the top 10 for a little minute. So if this is passing off for, entertainment in the rom-com world, y'all need to vote with your viewership because this was not good. I'm sure I'll see something better going forward than this, but this is a very low baseline we're starting with, which actually is good because if I start with something super good, everything else will be downhill from here. But now I'm looking forward to watching these other ones because I can't imagine I'm going to watch anything that's worse than this one right here. But anyway, definitely avoid this one and watch something else. But with that being said, I'll close it out right here. If this is your first time, don't make it your last. This has been a Podbean production, mostly low-budget movie reviews with Clarence. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Go and check out the YouTube channel, Low Budget Movie Reviews with Clarence. I got all kinds of stuff over there that you're not going to have over here, and I believe these things do upload on YouTube most of the time. Sometimes they don't. I'm not sure what the glitch is there, but I'm still trying to figure that out. But again, I appreciate all the activity and support. I do see things picking up, which is cool because, like I said, I started this a few years ago as just for fun, and I really haven't started like trying to do anything with this until like the past year or so. So still finding my footing, still trying to figure out how all this works, but I do appreciate you guys, and I'm glad you are along for the ride. But anyway, I'll be back again really soon because it's holiday week and I got a bunch of days off coming, like 4, 5, 6 days off coming, corporate job. They let everybody off. So I'm going to be able to get a lot of content done. So definitely be signed in over here. Listen to my podcast here, the long form stuff, and then go over to, Low Budget Movie Reviews with Clarence on YouTube and check out what I got going on over there. Thank you once again. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. Peace.